dispatching about 100, more than 100 vehicles to the military chiefs today. This has actually attracted mixed reactions. Some people noting that the government has misplaced priorities. In fact, this is not what they are supposed to be doing, and some questioning even the source of that particular money, and also as well as the timing of this matter, taking into consideration that it comes when relations between two warring factions in ZANU-PF have actually escalated, and this may be seen as a way of trying to lure the military to the corner of Emmerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa. But one of the individuals who have lived with Emmerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa, and I strongly believe personally in everything she says, although people may actually some take her for granted, but if you notice some of the things that she says, they are not far-fetched from the truth. Greetings and welcome on your lovely channel, the Mutami Global News. If you are watching us for the very first time, please do remember to press the red or black subscribe button so that next time when we beam live, you become the very first one to watch us. There is something interesting before I talk about what Susan Mutami has said. If you watch on the picture of this that I actually inserted, where Emmerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa was, in one of the barracks dispatching military vehicles actually meant for military officers. One thing for sure is that Mnangagwa does not even trust military, and one of the things that has become prominent these days is his son strategically guarding him and being visible on all events where Emmerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa actually gets to present something or to preside. He makes it a point that he strategically position himself at a position where all the people will actually see him. Now, one of the things, back to the main topic, so one of the individuals or the critics of Emmerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa, that is Susan Mutami, who has actually accused Mnangagwa of raping her numerous times. Remember, in an audio actually that was done on Twitter, I think she took about, it was live, she took about more than 4 hours. I listened to that because it was quite interesting and revealing when it comes to the evils that have been done by ZANU-PF in Zimbabwe. She was actually speaking a lot, quite a number of former ministers and chiefs within ZANU-PF had actually had relations with that particular woman. She is warning the military chiefs who received the cars, saying those cars, there is high probability that Emmerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa inserted devices that will ensure that he listens to all the communication that would be done by senior military chiefs. Now, this is a person who has lived with Mnangagwa. This is a person who has experienced the worst out of Emmerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa. Now, you cannot distance that person from actually getting into this discourse that ZANU-PF is currently in. Now, one would ask himself a question on why exactly is Emmerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa during this particular period whereby tensions between him and Chiwenga are actually skyrocketing. We are almost heading towards the climax of the succession dispute within the two camps in ZANU-PF. Now, if you listen to that woman, it probably somehow makes some sense. Of course, some of these, remember, people who would be key in determining the succession of ZANU-PF, it is the senior military personnel. if especially we are to experience the repeat of what transpired in 2017. So to be a target also of understanding what they talk about, especially when they're in those vehicles, it may be a weapon, the strongest weapon for Emerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa. So according to Susan Mutami, those cars have been inserted with devices to make sure that all senior military officials receiving those cars, they will be actually under surveillance of Emerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa faction. By the way, we have heard previously, I think I reported about this, that most of the Mnangagwa ministers and some of the top cronies within ZANU-PF who held top positions, their phones were actually cloned. And at some point, if you remember, Mnangagwa stayed for about more than almost 2 years without the Ministry of State Security, which is responsible for the Central Intelligence Organization, until I think it was towards the end of last year or the beginning of this year, if I'm not mistaken, where he actually appointed the current minister, Matuke, who tried to defend him when there was actually heated exchanges in Politburo between him as well as Emerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa. And we heard that most of the people were part of retired General Chiwenga faction, and most of the WhatsApp groups that were opened, especially by the faction of retired General Chiwenga, were actually tracked down through the son of Emerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa, who was running as a parallel minister of state security, listening to all the senior personnel within ZANU. Maybe that is how they also caught an individual like Obed Mbof, that he is working for the retired General Chiwenga, leading to his demise. There are quite a number of ZANU-PF officials, especially who had strategically aligned themselves with the faction of retired General Chiwenga, were actually spied on, listened to their conversation. They have all the devices, by the way, to listen to any person of interest, especially within the borders of Zimbabwe. So there is absolutely a high probability that what Susan Mutami is making, the allegations of saying those vehicles may be also a strategy to try to unearth what are the discussions, especially amongst the senior commanders within the Zimbabwe Defense Forces. Because if there is any military intervention, these people would be critical in terms of discussing the strategy, and some of them may be called those vehicles. So definitely, if they are under surveillance, it serves as a strategic advantage, particularly for the faction of Emerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa. So vehicles we hear that there will be about 700 vehicles that would be donated, especially to senior management of the military. Does Emerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa do anything like that out of the goodness of heart, especially taking into consideration of the political climate in Zimbabwe? I strongly doubt it. My guts really guts it. Someone says, was she a CIO? No, she wasn't a CIO, but living with, I'm not so sure, maybe, but living with Emerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa, who has been actually, remember, at one point he posted that you cannot plan anything about him. And he cannot be aware of that. Somehow, if you are planning anything about him within the state institutions, he is able to pick it up because he was responsible, especially he began with the Ministry of State Security. It was actually begun by him at the helm. So definitely we can give him that credit, that he has a know-how when it comes to that ministry. Now, when you are living with someone who is a minister or whatsoever, even if someone is working as a house girl or whatsoever, living with any person who hold a critical government portfolio, definitely you will know how that person operates. If you live with a person, even for a month, 2 months, 1 year, surviving with that particular individual, you will know the tricks of that individual without necessarily being part of the work that that person does, because somehow when you are at home, you tend to relax and actually expose your true colors amongst the people whom you are living with. Worse with this woman, they once had sexual relations. So some men sometimes when they are enticed, they can speak everything. Thank you very much for watching us. If you are watching us for the very first time, please do remember to press the red or black subscribe button, so that next time when we peep live, you become the very first one to watch us. You can financially support this channel by pressing the join button and be part of our members who are the heartbeat of this channel. You can equally do so by pressing the thanks button and send us stars. Some of the people, when we give analysis like this, they think we are pushing a certain faction. No, we are making people to understand what is ongoing there. And we may be pushing for the other faction because its side of the story is not actually in the picture. We are seeing the 2030 individuals given a lot of platform. It's good also to know what is happening on the other side of the coin. Thank you very much once again. Let me love and leave you. Do remember also to search for my album and listen to my album, stream it, buy it on all digital platforms. You search for Hlonipani Ncube, and the title of the album is Uthando Lwakhe. There is a specific channel for my music. Please kindly subscribe on that particular